Last time in this Surah Ar-Rahman series,
I mean, people are going to sin for what, 50 years, 80 years, and you want them to burn forever and ever? That doesn't sound like very merciful. It sounds sadistic and cruel. It sounds like torture. It sounds, the last thing that comes to mind is love and care, right? So this is a logical question many have in their mind. And they have trouble understanding Allah's rahmah when put in this perspective. Well, this surah is actually, one of its goals is to answer that question.
Ar-Rahman allama al-Quran.
To help you follow along and reflect more deeply, we've created a companion workbook for this series. Download it at bayyina.com/Rahman.
خلق الإنسان.
خلق الإنسان. So he mentions that he created the human being, but he mentions it after teaching the Quran, huh? So this actually, compared to the blessing of the Quran, life itself is secondary. Our life is actually a secondary blessing, a secondary act of love and care from Allah compared to the Quran. And why? Because life is meaningless without the proper instruction manual, without purpose. Purpose is more important than life itself. Life is not accidental. The atheist argues life is accidental. We just happen to be. We don't believe that. We believe we came here for a purpose. And the purpose even takes priority over, and if we don't have purpose, then our life has no meaning. Which is why the atheist is comfortable saying life has no meaning. They're okay with that. We say life has meaning, and if we say that, then we mean purpose is more important than even life itself. And that's why Allama al-Quran comes before Khalaq al-Insan. But we have to understand that there's deeper connections here. The first word was Ar-Rahman. This is khabar than lil-Rahman. Ar-Rahmanu khalaqa al-insan. Have you ever heard people say, I didn't ask to be created. I didn't ask to be brought here. Why am I stuck here? You seen that attitude? I refuse to believe in a God. Fine. Even if you refuse to believe in a God, you're still stuck on this planet. You want to get out of your skin somehow? Try uploading yourself into a Amazon web server or something. You know, you can watch sci-fi movies where you're transferring consciousness into a computer, into AI, but until then, you're stuck in the physical realm, not the digital realm. Human beings, whether we accept God or not, we at least have to acknowledge we are limited and caged. We're caged by the body we're put in. We're caged by the atmosphere that's been created for us. It's a giant cage, but it's still a cage. Beyond the oxygen, we can't go, except for Bezos, right? So, even then, he's going to run out and come back down. How far are you going to go? We're limited. We're controlled. Now you could say, this is a trap. I don't want to be here. I don't want to. And we age and we die and all of this bad stuff happens on this planet. And Allah is answering that question by saying, actually, the one who created you out of the utmost love and care. Like it is His incredible love and care that He created your body the way that He did, your brain the way that He did, your tongue the way that He did, your face the way that He did, your hands, your limbs. The human being, the way that human beings have been designed, is actually a manifestation of Allah's love and care. Intricate details have been taken care of in the way that we've been created. If human beings just contemplate their own creation, we would realize how much Allah loves us. You know what happens? We become entitled. When we become entitled, human beings easily forget. Kids are an easy example. If you don't give kids any toys for a while, then even if you give them a broken old toy, what are they going to do? Oh my God, this is one wheel. If you give a kid gifts every day, guess what happens? Not only do they not like any gifts anymore, they become spoiled and ungrateful, and their attitude gets nasty, and they start acting up, and Because when you give too much and they have no value, they start talking back to their parents. When parents give children everything they ask for, because the worst thing that you can do as a parent, by the way, is give your child everything they ask for. Because pretty soon, they're going to be the Fir'aun and you're going to be the Bani Israel enslaved. You know, I'm hungry. I don't want to eat there. I'm not going. You're like, okay, well, whatever you feel like, you know. This, Allah gives and He gives and He gives, and guess what happens? People become entitled. And the amount of audacity it takes to say, I didn't ask to be created. I didn't ask to be alive. Why are you so depressed? Because I used to have a lot of friends and now they don't like me. Or because she left me or he left me. That's why the universe shouldn't have created me. You see how like absurdly petty we become, and this is what happens when purpose is missing. By the way, when purpose is missing, the smallest thing becomes your purpose. And when that smallest thing goes this way or that way, I don't want to exist. I don't want to believe in God. I don't want to believe in anything because I didn't get my way. Ya Allah. This is when human beings forget who made the Ar-Rahman made you with guidance. When you follow that guidance, you will not live a miserable life. And this is an incredible secret in the Quran. You know, Allah doesn't talk about happiness in the Quran. People come ask me, Ustad, can you tell me some ayahs about how to be happy? You know why? Because in the modern age, in the postmodern age, happiness is a goal. You know that, right? Happiness is a goal now. So how to be happy, videos have very high views. Watch this and you will be happy. You know, how to find happiness in your life. Oh my God. And everybody's got some, Hadith Abu Jahl, TikTok, on finding the secret to happiness. What is the Quran? The Quran is not talking about happiness. What's the Quran talking about? Purpose. You know why? Because when you live a life of purpose, then you get some byproduct. And you know what the first byproduct of that is? Happiness. Happiness is not a goal, it is a byproduct. Actually. When people study the Quran, when they engage with the Quran, what are they engaging with? Purpose. And what does Allah say about this purpose? فَبِذَلِكَ فَلْيَفْرَحُوا. And because of that, they should be filled with joy. He mentions happiness when they are pursuing Allah's word, because now you have actual substance in your life. And by the way, the most miserable people you will find in this world are people who are running after happiness. The one thing they don't have is happiness. Like, why can't I just be happy? I feel like something's missing. Yeah. Something's definitely missing. When Allah gave us the Quran, He knew our emotions. He knew, my psychological tendencies, my weaknesses, my strengths. He knew all of that, and He took all of that into consideration and then gave me the Quran. He says, أَلَا يَعْلَمُ مَنْ خَلَقَ. Doesn't He know who He created? So the Quran is actually taking into consideration. You know, you say, I feel like my mother doesn't understand me. I feel like nobody gets me. I feel like, okay, you know what? Nobody does get you. You know someone who does get you though? Is Allah. And after getting you, He taught you the Quran. Like after getting you. So when you study His word, you're studying, you're learning from someone who gets you inside and out. He sees from deep within you to the outside. Parts of you that nobody else knows about, He knows about them. He knows them inside and out. And then He gave you this word. Because He knows exactly what you need to hear. What do we develop? This individualistic attitude? Yeah, I know it says it in the Quran, but I have a special situation. I have a different problem. Everybody wants to be different. You know what that is? You want Allah to give you revelation directly for you. Because what Allah gave isn't special enough for you. You're too special for the Quran. This is actually the attitude. Watch out. You don't say it, I'll say it for you. I'll say it for you. This attitude is just masking, very thinly masking one thing. I am too exceptional for the exceptional word of Allah. And that's why I don't come to Allah's book. That's why I don't come to it. I want Allah to answer my questions on my terms. Like Allah owes me an answer. You know where this comes from? This comes from what's that? Siri and Alexa and Google and AI now, they're there to answer whose questions? Your questions. And what do we do with the Quran? Tell me what the Quran says about raising children. Tell me what the Quran says about women. Tell me what the Quran says about this. Tell me what the Quran says about that. Really? The Quran is your Google now. It's your chat GPT. It's there to answer your question. Allah is the one asking the questions. فَبِأَيِّ آلَاءِ رَبِّكُمَا تُكَذِّبَانِ فَبِأَيِّ آلَاءِ رَبِّكُمَا تُكَذِّبَانِ. Who's asking the questions? It's Allah. He made you. He's giving you a sense of purpose by asking you pointed questions. And here you and I think, we're in a position to be the ones asking the questions. We're the ones that have, until our curiosities are met, until we are impressed, I'll hear the answer, then I'll decide how many stars to give the answer. You know, subhanAllah, how far we've come. He says He created the human being, and He knows human beings can go very dark ways if they lose sight of guidance. And that's why He gave them the Quran. So now, on the one hand, He says, لَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ فِي أَحْسَنِ تَقْوِيمٍ. Human beings have amazing potential. They were created in the most beautiful form. And He says, لَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ فِي كَبَدٍ. Human beings were created in toil and labor and difficulty and stress and anxiety. All of that is inside the word kabad. Then He says, خُلِقَ الْإِنسَانُ ضَعِيفًا. He created the human being weak. Human beings were created weak. So He knows that we're weak. He knows we're stressed. He knows we're under a lot of pressure. Then He talks about men in particular. He says, زُيَّنَ لِلنَّاسِ حُبُّ الشَّهَوَاتِ مِنَ النِّسَاءِ وَالْبَنِينَ. Men were, what was beautified for men was their desire for women and children and piles of wealth, of gold and silver, and then branded horses or horsepower, right? And then cattle, which means investments that breed more wealth. Because the cow gives you milk and then it gives you calves and then they give milk. Investments that compound on themselves, right? ROI, right? An'am. And then harth, return on investment, the bonus at the end of the year. That's al-harth. This is what was beautified for men. He knows all of that, and knowing all of that, He gave the Quran. Knowing all of it. So when He says خَلَقَ الْإِنسَانِ, is a very loaded statement. He created the human being. And so He's in a best position to tell human beings how to live the best kind of life they can. That's خَلَقَ الْإِنسَانِ. Now, finally.
علمه البيان.
علمه البيان. Remember when He said خَلَقَ علم القرآن? What was missing? Who did He teach? He opened the door. He didn't restrict it. But now He restricted it. Allamahu al-bayan. He taught him. Who's the him here? The human being. He taught the human being al-bayan. He taught the human being. One way you can translate al-bayan is speech. But not just speech. I mean, birds have speech. Penguins have speech. Monkeys have speech. Bayan also means eloquent speech, beautiful speech, poetic speech, philosophical speech, scientific speech, mathematical speech. He taught human beings all kinds of things. This is going to take me 15 minutes to explain. I promise I'll stop within 15 minutes. But bear with me. This is a little bit philosophical. The word bayan comes from separation. Bayan comes from what? Separation. Allah gave human beings the ability to separate one sound from another sound inside a single word. So when I say word, the W and the O and the R and the D all play a role in a single word. I separate each sound, don't I? So actually, clarity in speech comes from the fact that every syllable can get separated. Birds cannot separate their syllables. Lizards can't separate their syllables. Human beings can separate, distinguish sounds one from another inside every word of every sentence, can't they? Now, when sentences come together, they form what? Or words come together to form a sentence. And then we can separate one sentence from another sentence. If you're hearing a monkey go, ah, 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 you don't know where the sentence started, where it ended. But when a human being speaks, you can say, oh, that was one sentence. Then there was another sentence. Then there was another sentence. Is that true or no? Human beings can take 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 500 separate ideas and organize them, separating them from each other and then combining them, like letters in a word, like words in a sentence, like sentences in a paragraph, like paragraphs in a chapter, like chapters in a book, like book in a set of volumes and volumes in a library. My God, we were able to create the repository of human language or human knowledge because we were given the ability to what? Separate. To the point where now you're doing a PhD in mechanical engineering or quantum physics, and even now you are learning distinct definitions for things, each one separate from the other. And that is how you specialize in your field, by separating one concept from another, from another, from another. This is so incredible that human beings were now given the ability to actually think about things and talk about things that they've never even seen. The physicist is talking about dimensions that he or she has never seen. Einstein was talking about, energy that he had never actually seen. And then decades after Einstein, experiments was starting to illustrate what he put on a piece of paper, that he's just jotting down notes and formulae and calculations that he's never actually seen. Other creatures can only observe and learn based on what? Based on seeing. If they can't see it, they can't abstract the thought. Human beings can imagine and can use analytical skills to actually leave the seen world and enter the unseen world. And we do it all the time. We do it in the world of physics. We do it in the world of biology. We do it in the world of chemistry. We do it in all these worlds. We do it in the world of history. You can look at ruins and you can reconstruct what the empire used to look like. That's what human beings are able to do. No other species can do this. Allah taught the human being a unique quality, the ability to separate and therefore compile knowledge and therefore leave a repository of knowledge, and the next generation comes and takes that repository and builds something a little bit better, and the next generation a little bit better. They were the same human beings that put together a stick with 2 wheels, rock wheels on the side. Right? Those were also human beings. And where we are now is just an increment based on that first knowledge that was built one on top of the other, on top of the other, on top of the other. What started with Adam alayhi salam, وَعَلَّمَ آدَمَ الْأَسْمَاءَ كُلَّهَا. When Allah says عَلَّمَهُ الْبَيَانِ, Allah is describing a quality of human beings that no other species can even come close, not even the jinn. Nobody has it like we do. We can make poetry, we can talk about emotions, we can talk about unseen galaxies and universes. We can use this imagination and this ability to analyze to fill in all kinds of blanks. And this was an important ability for human beings to develop what we've developed, right? But here's one piece. If human beings can use this ability to project into the unseen, like they do in physics, like they do in history, then they were given this ability so they can use it to analyze the limits of how far they can think. There are some questions they're never going to be able to answer. And those questions can only be answered when you realize the limit is drawn for you, and that answer comes from where? It comes from revelation. It comes from Allah. Human beings were given this ability, so they reach their maximum and then realize the only way past this is if some gift comes from Allah. وَيُعَلِّمُكُم مَا لَمْ تَكُونُوا تَعْلَمُونَ. He teaches you what you couldn't possibly have known yourselves. He teaches you something there was no possibility for you to know. So this remarkable statement, عَلَّمَهُ الْبَيَانِ, sets human beings apart. And it's as if Allah is saying, this is the ultimate skill of a human being that made the human being worthy of being given the Quran itself. Now we've got 4 things. Allah's most extreme rahmah. We've got Allah's most extreme rahmah for us, the Quran, and the way that it's taught. Then we've got Allah's most incredible creation, which is what? The human being, fi ahsani taqweem. And then we've got the human being's most incredible ability, which is what? Speech. And if you combine all 4, it's as if once we attained our ability of bayan, then the ultimate use of that bayan was to go back and discover Ar-Rahman by learning the Quran, because had we not learned bayan, we would have never been able to learn the Quran. And only then will we realize why we were created. So there's a cycle created in these 4 ayat. It's this bayan that will take us back to Ar-Rahman, Allama al-Quran, Khalaqa al-Insan, and then it will improve our bayan. So it's absolutely fascinating. And all of the languages that human beings speak, all of them are covered in this ayah. You know that? Who did Allah teach speech to? Adam alayhi salam. Allama Adam al-Asma. We're all children of Adam alayhi salam. Whatever language he spoke, the Adamic language that he spoke, he taught it to his kids. They taught to their kids. They taught to their kids until they moved away from each other. And they developed dialects and variations of variations in all languages in the world. Whether it's out in Australia, in the Aborigines, or it's the deep ends of Southeast Asia, the Taiwanese, the ancient Chinese language. Whatever language is being spoken is actually a child of the language that was given to Adam alayhi salam. And it's as if the climax of all of those languages was actually Allah's own gift of language, which is the Quran. Allah is speaking here. And so this final challenge from Allah was, all human beings can speak. All human beings can produce literature. All human beings can study science and all of it. Let all human beings come together and produce something that can even come close to the Quran. Let them do it. Let them try. And you could say, the Quran's just a book. Yeah, it's not just a book. Remember, it's not just information. What is it? It's transformation. It's transformation. And the transformation that the Quran brought and continues to bring will never be matched with anything else that in this sustained way. I often give the example as I leave you guys. New music comes out, a new movie comes out. It becomes all the rage. Everybody's watching it, right? Everybody's listening to this song. It's gone viral. It's got millions and millions and millions of views. How long before people get tired of it? A few weeks, and you're like, can you turn that off? It's God. You're watching that again? I'm tired of it. Like your kids, their favorite movie, they keep making you watch it over and over again. And some of you need to now see a therapist because you've seen the same children's movie so many times. The song plays in your head even though it's not, But think about the Fatiha. It's pretty viral, I think. Right? How many users devotedly replaying it, re-reciting it every single day across cultures, across languages, across generations, across economic divides, across borders. And then among all of them, Fatiha, 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 Fatiha. If I went somewhere nobody understood anything, if I went to like Kota Kinabalu where nobody speaks English, a lot of people speak Arabic there, but even if they didn't, and I just said Ar-Rahman, you know what some even kid running by would say? Allama al-Quran. They just know. They just know. Can you produce something like that penetrates the hearts of humanity in this way? Can you that they have this much love for it? Even if they don't understand it, they have love for it. Even if they have that. This is Allamahul Bayan. You and I have been given the ability to speak and the ability to clarify and the ability to think. Now we must apply that ability and give it back to Allah's word. That's what we're going to do, inshallah ta'ala. So I think this is a good start to our week. Bi'idhnillah. Thank you so much for being patient with me.
Coming up next time in this Surah Ar-Rahman series.
Which language was he referring to? All of them. Every language is actually... Okay, so English was taught by the current generation from the previous to the previous. You go further back enough. It starts with Adam. Right? Every language you go far back enough. It starts with who? Adam alayhi salam. And Adam was taught by who? Allama Adam al-Asma. You know what that means? Every language is language itself is revelation. It's a kind of revelation.